Thanks.
Hey, it's me, Max. Welcome to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 podcast. Since we'll be portraying vampires who have left their mortal lives behind, expect there are going to be bad things that deal with difficult themes and content meant for an adult audience. This content may include, but is not limited to, body horror, murder, gore, extreme emotional situations, and graphic images. Remember, don't hold those actions against the players, just the character. Take care of yourself, and take a break if you need it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. We're so glad to be back. For all of you, it's only been a week, but for us, it's been between sessions. As always, I'm your storyteller, Mike Martin, but I'm also joined by 4 other people. I can't do this by myself. I'm joined by Bub, Josh, Mark, and of course, Dot/Chelsea, because in my mind, you go back and forth, and Bub just can't be Dave. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. We've made a decision.
I have started calling him Dave outside of here, though.
Has it started to catch on in your mind?
Yep.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? It's good to see all your bright, beautiful faces.
You know.
Good to see you, pal.
Yeah.
Good to see you all, too. I'm excited to play. Hope you guys are excited for today.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, there was some shenanigans last time, so...
Not on my end, though. It was all on your end. You caused some enemies, not myself, but I'm excited to see where that ends up leading.
Yeah, but we're still going to blame it on you.
That's true.
No, we're going to blame it on Sean.
Nah, don't worry about it.
All right. Josh, I need you to choose a number between 1 and 3. Don't choose yet. Okay. Now, please choose.
3?
Okay, Chelsea, you are going to give us the recap of what happened last week.
Okay, it was a lot.
And I say last week, I should say a recap of the last 3 sessions for everybody's last week for us, quote unquote.
Yeah, so it took place over the eve of big business as they prepared for their first major art sale that the audience has been able to see. And they decided to rope Sean in on this one by asking him to get a suit. That endeavor led to... a strange girl. I don't know if she was stalking him or he was stalking her, but it happened.
Column A, little column B.
It was a little bit of both. And in some strange teleportation dream sequence, Sean got smooched by this mouth-stitched girl.
Are you saying Sean is still capable of wet dreams?
I am not saying that, Mathis.
I'm just saying, is it a benefit of being thin blood? Because then, I don't know.
So then Sean comes back with a lot of questions, such as, what is a kiss to a vampire? Which led to each of the coterie kind of having their own description of what a kiss means to a kindred. He did not return with a suit, so Vera made him wear a purple one. We got to see Sean do some of his weird things with his druggy mates that live upstairs, and Duke introduced us to the ballerinas in his haven. Vera had a talk with Sean about love. It went okay. And asked Max.
Sean had like a heart-to-heart with every one of you last time.
Yeah.
I got passed round.
You needed it, though. You needed it.
I thought he was going to... Yeah.
The most enjoyable was the Sean Duke heart-to-heart. It was very touching and very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of
we were all very
pure emotions there. Mostly fear.
Mostly fear, yeah.
So all of this takes place on the eve of this massive art show that they're going to host, which goes off swimmingly. And not really. The Italians want in on different business, and Vera didn't like that, so she played a catty mean girl like she does and made him sit there and watch her make the deal, and he didn't like that. And so there was some fighting that ensued. It was fine. Sean tried to work his charismatic magic there at the end with some success, I'd say. And Vera gave him a gift for that action.
And lest we not forget the singular visitor that supposedly was sent by a Nosferatu of some sort.
Oh,
that
yes.
showed up, hung out awkwardly.
Stinky.
Stinky.
I forgot about Stinky.
Who may have been using Mask of a Thousand Faces as a Nosferatu. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
So many things. I feel like,
if you want to get all the details and nuance, you got to go back and listen.
Yeah, you're going to have to go back. That's what my memory has at the moment in chronological order.
Yeah, there was a casualty on the side of Tommy the Mouse, and Max dispatched him on Vera's order.
That's right. And Vera fed
very quickly,
from the
cleanly,
other one,
and
that's
efficiently.
Right. Yep.
The danger of a Nosferatu cannot be seen or heard. It's very, very clear after that. All right, I think that's any of the major strokes. That means either Mark or Bub, you're next, so be ready for recapping.
Okay.
It's hard, y'all.
All right, let's. It's a pain, and it's especially bad when it's been a couple weeks. So, all right, let's reel this sucker in. Let's set the tone, and let's see what our coterie is up to. The scene begins with nothing but utter black. In the background, you can hear the simple rise and swell of a muted thumping. After a little bit of listening, you realize it is the rhythmic thumping of club music, somewhere situated upstairs. The black dissipates to a bright orange light as a dangling light bulb hanging by one wire from a ceiling in some back closet is turned on, and a monstrous bat-like hand with sharp claws and purple skin falls from the string that is attached to that light bulb, bringing light into this closet. There, with the large purple ears and the recognizable yellow eyes, is our dear Maxwell, waking for the next evening. All of you, rouse checks as the next evening begins. Duke gains no hunger. Max gains no hunger. Vera gains no hunger. And Sean gains no hunger. What a great night for you and your beast being able to control it. And as we see Max roll his shoulders and a few of the bones crack, that little door that leads into his closet flings open, and into the basement we watch as he takes large strides on the concrete floor, eventually leading into what is now colloquially known as the Blood Room. There, standing is Vera in the center, with Sean speaking with her. You're not sure if it's a tense conversation, argument, or if they're just having a regular conversation. The faces on Sean consistently change, while Vera stays incredibly stoic. And over by the small table in the back of the room on a chair, pen in hand, is Duke, jotting down meticulously, likely, the numbers from last night's sale. And that's when that thumping music fades away and becomes more background noise, as the voices of Vera and Sean overtake. Vera clearly discussing the job from last night, and the camera detaching from Max as he joins the four, now taking in the room from the top of the ceiling near a corner.
Well, Duke, how did we do?
To be honest, Vera, we could have done significantly better if we had happened to have another buyer. And if my math suits, typically it does, I do believe that we may have some issues, and we'll have to negotiate mitigating losses going forward.
Well, that does not bode well.
We just broke
Max,
even.
Did we at least rid our... Oh.
Just even.
Well. Sometimes you have to take a loss.
Not for lack of trying.
It's true. And you did very well.
What was that you were wondering, Vera?
I was wondering, did we deal with the extra man? The Italian.
Oh, our friend? Yeah. Yeah, he slipped and fell. He's been taken care of.
Fantastic. Consider it his loss, not ours.
Well, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. That guy was a trigger man for Tommy the Mouse. Something tells me he was a real piece of shit. They don't put greenhorns on that kind of detail.
It's true. No No tear should be shed over such a man. Nor over Tommy.
I wouldn't shed any tears over him. Waste of blood.
It's true. But, Sean...
We need more... We need more buyers, right? What about that weird girl that came in? Smelled funny?
Oh, Stinky, yeah. Well, I peg her for a nos. That ain't what she looks like for sure, but she seemed harmless enough.
It's true.
Kind of skittish, you know? Kind of reminded me of you there, Sean.
That's not... In the fact that we're both really cool.
Yeah.
Because she can do magic and shit and... Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Is that what you tell yourself?
Thought so. It's what I know about myself.
Did you know you did a very good job last night?
Wait, what?
You did a good job, Sean.
As the compliment falls from Vera's lips so elegantly and easily, do we see Sean kind of almost body change, stiffen up, taken off guard by this compliment?
Yeah, he doesn't stiffen up though.
Okay.
He's taken aback, but in a surprised and good way. Like, this has never happened before, so I should savor it.
You gotta be careful, Vera. He's gonna want that kind of treatment every day from now on.
Well, then he can pay for it like everyone else.
Listen, far be it from me to question the direction this ship is steering in, but, do you think it was a great idea to start a war with the Italians?
I know, it was a mistake, and no, but they're just little men. And they're all like Tommy. He outstayed his welcome. He wanted to start a war on our territory.
I'm just saying, it might be a distraction that we don't need right now.
Oh, she kind of swoons into a chair. Yes, you're right.
It's a bit late for that. You tore a couple of them apart and almost Tommy. So it was calmed, but shouldn't we be proactive about this stuff?
Hey.
The dealer comes on the...
Get your facts straight. I tore one of them apart, and I did it very discreetly.
I don't doubt that. I'm just saying they know.
Well, they're gonna know that guy doesn't go home.
Maybe we should tell them that. That sounds like a pretty good deterrent.
Yeah, well, I mean, the die is cast, right? We're gonna have to, muscle up and play with the cards we dealt.
I'm inclined to agree with Max.
I really mixed metaphors on that, I just realized. Dice and cards and, whatever.
Well, sounds reasonable, and there's nothing we can do about Tommy. Or the fact that I fed from one of his men and you watched the other one trip. So contend we must.
Perhaps we should consider upping the security during the day. Vera, these men that you say, these little men, they may be just that, but they can walk during the day. And last I checked, that is in fact a problem for us.
Well, it's a good thing we have a daywalker among us. Vera looks at Sean.
Sean, do you think you can fend off the armed forces of all of the Italian mob?
I'd give it a good go. But it's, no. Like, eventually no.
As much as I'd like to see Sean try, I meant maybe he could manage some daytime forces. We don't currently have representation during daylight hours. And Sean handled himself well last night, so maybe.
Yeah, again, I don't want to question the quality of the associates I'm sure that Sean can bring to the table, but I don't think they're going to be much impediment to the opposition. You said it yourself. This is the Italian mob. They're not gonna be afraid of a few skinny junkies. I'm thinking we're gonna have to get proactive with this. I didn't really like this play, but the next move might have to be taking out Tommy.
Oh.
I could call in a few of my skinny junkies and take out Tommy.
No, I wasn't thinking of the junkies doing that. I was gonna do that myself.
Fine.
Out of curiosity, can I get a intelligence streetwise roll from anybody who would like to make that roll when it comes to knowing Tommy the Mouse's particular rank in the Italian mafia? Because that's not something Tommy would give you straight up. That'd be something you'd have to kind of know.
Would I have any bonus courtesy of specialty in criminology?
Absolutely. Yes, that would definitely give you a bonus.
Okay.
I've got specialty black market. Would that give me any?
Yeah, Tommy deals in the black market all the time. You'd probably get your information from contacts there. So yes, absolutely.
Yikes. 1 success.
1 success from Duke, 3 successes from Sean, 2 successes from Max.
Vera's not going to try to make this.
Okay, Vera doesn't even bother.
This is why I keep them around.
Sean, actually, the only one hitting the 3 success bar that I set for knowing Tommy the Mouse's rank. And when they bring up talking about Tommy the Mouse and taking a hit on Tommy the Mouse, while you don't have the specific wording for his rank, maybe it's lieutenant, maybe it's something along those lines, but you know if taking him out would certainly cause a ripple effect amongst the mafia.
Yeah, so he's a bit of a boss, and not in the good way.
The word that you've heard passed around quite often is Tommy the Mouse is a made man.
Made man, that's it. Yeah, so he clearly did something, and he's on the inside.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but what I'm saying,
if you take him out, there'll be repercussions.
Sure, but what I'm saying is maybe the repercussions don't have to land on us, right? We don't advertise the fact that we're the ones behind it. Tommy the Mouse has got lots of enemies, I'm sure. If the Italian mob is busy fighting themselves, fighting each other, they're gonna forget about us. They're not gonna think that some, drug pushers who happen to run an art sale every once in a while are the ones that took out one of their capos.
All right, I can go and ask around and see what enemies he has. I mean, it won't be mafia.
He was particularly interested in the Russians. His ask was to be able to bid against them for whatever they were trying to purchase. He seems to want to undercut them from a business standpoint.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bring the Russians in on this. They're still loyal customers, right? We don't want to make trouble for them. We want the Italian mob fighting them each other.
Made men don't, fight each other, though, right?
Yeah.
They got, codes and shit?
Yeah. Which was why, when Tommy disappears, they're gonna assume one of them did it on the sly. We just gotta find out who to pin it on.
Like I said, I can do some digging.
Sean's not entirely wrong in that there's a code, as you put it. It's why I would not let him bid against the Russians. Good business. Duke taught me that, and I feel as though we could see this a little deeper. Max is right, we can blame it on someone else, but it's got to be believable. Sean, can we start a rumor? Oh, Tommy does bad business.
Yeah. There's a morsel of truth in there. Take on easy enough.
And Max.
It would make it really easy to spread a rumor, Sean. A little bit of your thin blood alchemy. A little bit of that presence. You know how to spread a rumor real nice.
Yeah. People will listen to me now, I think.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
This could work. Max is right. We need to nip this in the bud before it gets too big. If it does, we'll get rid of him. I'm not worried about that. But if we can do this clean, that is always preferable.
And for what it's worth noting, that there are many families inside of the New York Mafia. The scene is very large. And, well, Thomas was only a representative of a single family. There are, as far as I am aware, multiple Italian mob families.
Duke, you would actually know this off the top of your head simply because of having to do business happens with the Mafia. You tend to cross paths with them regularly, especially when you deal with other Ventru. Five heads of family. 5 different families that come together and occasionally have what you would consider a council meeting of a sort. I can go into... I'm curious how into the finances of criminal organizations Duke is either interested in or involved in. You have a couple points in finance, of course.
I do, in fact.
Give me a... No, I think this is something... I'm just going to ask straight up. How interested do you think Duke would be in other facets of underworld finances that are not specifically your sphere, your club, your people?
Well, money moves mountains, and Duke would be very interested as a pursuer of puzzles and riddles, and as of probably the most recent decade, cold cases. He likes to find paper trails that capture people, so this is probably a major interest to him.
Maybe this idea was nicked from it. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it just makes good sense. But either way, I'd say, Duke, you're aware that within at least the Italian mob and mafia and the 5 families and whatnot, much like you guys, they actually have an unwritten rule: no drugs. Hits and other like stealing and extortion, all that other stuff, all that's fair game. But for mafia, drugs are always off the table. They don't deal in it in the books. And should anybody find anybody dealing with the drugs like on the books for the mafia or like in any formal sense, they're usually taken care of. They usually are killed. They lose a finger, they lose a hand, what have you. But a lot of mafia deal drugs off the books. They do one thing and sell something else. And that's very much what you did with the paintings. And that's very much IRL. That's how they operate. And I imagine it's still like that modern day, but that was the 80s and 90s, the way they worked. And they did have a council of the heads of families that would come together once a month, make sure nobody's crossing business with one another. Everything's clean on the books and nobody's getting into everybody else's turf. However, of course, over years and over time, people butt heads, people get caught dealing drugs, people get caught trying to nick territory from someone else. Duke would know this surface level stuff of like how business is done and they do come together and whatnot.
Fair. That's good to know. You would probably raise that point. The Italian mob, they tend to not dole in drugs. That's not exactly their sole means of income. Now, off the books, they do things on the side. Everyone has what they call a bit of a hustle on the side. And, well, we've seen clearly what Thomas's is. Shouldn't be a problem for us to identify other immediate families to report in. Who knows when their next familial meeting might be, but if they were to be alerted that Thomas got sloppy in a drug deal and ushered in a potential fight with the Russians, it would look incredibly poor upon him.
Right. So maybe it's not causing so much trouble for the Russians if we spread the rumor that this drug deal went bad. The Russians are the ones that took him out, the guy that I took out. And then we let it be known to his superiors that Tommy was involved in drugs. Yeah. They'll be mad at him, not at the Russians. They take him out. Could work.
It would look and be a lot cleaner, I feel. And Max is also right in that we might need to look into some security, real security. Duke, it is disappointing to hear that we only broke even, but at least it wasn't a total loss on our part. I feel it is time that Sean gets a cut.
I don't think I deserve that.
I didn't ask you. Everyone that works here gets...
well, make sure it's on the arm. Like, I use that.
Oh, Lord. No, money.
Oh, boy.
Child. Money.
Money?
Congratulations.
You have never once... You've never once given me money.
Yeah,
you never earned anything.
It looks like your 9-year internship is up there. Welcome to the team.
Sounds like I'm luckier than most interns. What does that mean?
It means you can't leave.
Great. Stoked to be here.
As a nervous smile crawls across his lips.
Well, I guess that I should... do we all have the same tattoo, or, like, take nicknames?
Don't you got enough tattoos?
Yeah, all right.
We're not a cult.
Well, how much money do I get?
I looked at Duke.
Well, I wish I could say much more, but probably only a few $1,000s.
Only? Yeah, sure.
As he laughs and lets those, like, yeah, sure, everybody, just that awkward silence as all three of them stare at you. It becomes clear that they are not joking.
Oh. So, like, I don't think I've ever seen more than $100 in one place, so...
Vera, as he wears a suit worth more than he's going to get in cash tonight.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, congratulations, I guess. Please don't shoot it all into your arm. Or your friends.
Sure.
Well, this has been heartwarming, kid. I hope you enjoy being a member of the team. You'll get your t-shirt and secret Dakota ring in the mail.
Sweet. I can't wait for that. Say Drac Pack on it.
Yeah, it says Drac Pack on it.
Perfect.
And as this kind of welcoming initiation, end of business payment is eventually slid over from Duke over to Sean, I imagine there's the small metal, like, tin box that Duke has that he flips open, has a very simple lock on it. Is that where Duke would keep his cash, that petty cash or loose cash, or does he do it some other way?
Likely for any of the cash that needs to be doled out between Vera and anyone else, it's handled there, but everything else is handled elsewhere outside of the immediate facility.
And so you take a few stacks of a few hundreds and kind of just very neatly pile them together and slide them forward towards Sean. Raw cash sitting in front of you, more than your eyes have ever seen in your entire now 30 years of being around, almost.
Let's just hope I don't get mugged, you know?
Yeah.
Before he collects it, the moment that he steps up to grab it, I place my middle finger and index finger down, like, very tightly upon it with, like, a firm push. And
yeah, I pause as he does that, like, reaching out, like, at the moment he moves, I'm going to grab it.
When my eyes train on his, I'll just explain. Remember, Sean, there is a gateway to everything. This is only the beginning. And I'll remove my fingers.
If there's more to come, then great. Like, snatch up the money.
You grab the 4 stacks of thick $100 bills, and we see him hurriedly just kind of... Does he look at it for a while out of curiosity? When he finally has his hands on it, what do we watch as Sean does with this cash, this cold cash in the palms of his hands?
I think he like feels it, but he doesn't look at it. He feels it and then quickly stuffs it in his pockets.
And do we see Sean try to make a hurried exit out of here?
Yeah, he's going to look at Vera like, is everything? I've got some...
Because I know as Sean's about to
smoke,
trying to get ready to leave and say, I got to go for a smoke, there are a few of you that like to have a word with Sean first.
I just say, I am not your keeper. Just pit her off if you'd like.
Yeah.
You saved that money there, Sean. Eventually you get enough of it, you put it all in a room, and you swim around in it like you're Scrooge McDuck.
I think I get that one. Nice.
Sean, this means you're dedicated to our cause. Now, So just don't fuck it up.
Well, no promises, but I've been doing my best so far. Worked last night.
There's a moment where we can imagine. It may not be being thought by Vera, but she's not sure if this is the thin blood in him or if he's just a piece of shit.
If I just want to rip his throat out. While you pitter off to go spend your hard-earned cash, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Ask your friend, the Primogen Larson, to come drop by.
Well, I can try, but he's not my friend.
With your kindest, charming words that I know you can ramble up from the bowels of your tiny little body, ask him very nicely to come sit with us.
Okay. I'll do that.
And just to put a pin in this, so we're gonna go with the leaking word of Tommy's involvement with the drug deal rather than me going by his place and ripping off his head. Yes?
We'll call that Plan B. Let's stick with Sean trying to work his gossip magic to start.
Sounds good. I got stuff to attend to anyhow.
As the camera sits in the corner of the blood room and we see Sean, after getting kind of quite a lecture and a warning, begin to pitter his way out, and Max as well beginning to leave, what do we see Duke and Vera do? The two of them being left alone in the room for a moment.
I'll move eyes to Vera, and Duke would mutter an older saying, quote from a fairly well-known writer, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown, and now he's had his first taste.
Yes. Poetry, it's supposed to rouse the mind and the heart. I am concerned, Duke, about
As
this
am I.
business of ours. Oh. Concerned is not an emotion you exude often, Duke.
What do you mean? I wear it on my face.
You wear many things upon your sleeve, but not many on your face.
I understand, Vera.
What is it that concerns you?
I have concerns, specifically for Sean. I spoke with him after it was all said and done. He doesn't want to be like us. He doesn't have intentions to see bodies, to see the dead. He declared that we trivially moved amongst them like we were attempting to play football, though I'm beginning to believe that he doesn't understand what football actually is or is like. However, he was quick to draw the cash from the table. His motivations are very clear.
Yes, well, we've all been thirsty for something at some point, haven't we, Duke?
You're not wrong.
Sean is frail. He'll figure it out. And if he doesn't stay, well, then I'm sure they'll find a new place for him, or he can die like the rest of them.
More of my concern. Sean will find his way, but right now what seems to hit my mind, Vera, is you.
Oh, don't trouble yourself with me, Duke.
No, I believe that I have to, so that the air can be cleared and that you can understand my concern and why I'm having these very concerns.
Clearing
Vera,
the air after 30 years, Duke.
Well, if it wasn't concerning, I wouldn't bring it to the table.
I should sit for this one, please.
If I can be so candid, Vera, I think you might be losing your edge.
Oh, I sure hope not.
And I'm not entirely sure what it may have been that prompted or brought this to be. Perhaps it was last night. Maybe it's Sean. It could even be me, and I'm willing to accept that. Eventually I wane on everyone. You touched me last night, Vera. My back.
Yes, Duke.
You haven't touched me in ever.
Yes, Duke. I also kissed Thin Blood, so things were
Then
askew.
I assume that you are having similar feelings.
I am struggling, sure. We are on a precipice, a cusp, Duke. I can feel it in my bones. We could lose everything or win everything. It's a strange place. That little Italian man. He got under my vinyl last night.
I have no desire, Vera, to win anything. I'm afraid that if I continue to play up, I may play a stupid game and win a stupid prize. What is it that you're hoping to garner from this game that you believe that we've entered ourselves into?
Well, you know I've played the game for a long time. I don't get to play their game anymore. So, shameful Vera gets to play her own game. I want to assure that my sire cannot do what he has done to me to anyone else. Ever again. I'm going to take everything from him. Everything in between is simply for pleasure. Or pain. I would rather have died in the fire with the rest of those ballerinas, Duke. But instead, I'm stuck here.
I've theorized for a long time that you were embraced here.
Well, your theories never fail us, Duke.
You move with a certain grace and poise that matches theirs. I'm sure you've noticed that my room still bears an uncanny feeling. Something about them still moving.
I am not unaware.
It explains why you never visit me.
Duke, we live under the same roof. I did not know Haven visits were a necessity, but yes, I avoid that room if possible. A constant reminder of my gift, as my sire calls it.
If you wouldn't mind waiting, or if you are a bit struck for time, I wanted to bring you back, help you find your edge. I thought about this for a long time last night, and though I've had it for a very, very long time, I believe it is important for me to bring it into the open, to remind you of whom you are, whom you were, and to what you can still become.
Well, Duke, you have piqued my interest.
Then you'll wait.
I'm not going anywhere. I cross my legs.
Very well, it will take me just a moment. And I'll sneak back off to my room and draw something that I've been hiding for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
It is a small black leather briefcase. And on the side, it says RCA Victor. It looks as if it's been repurposed, cleaned. It appears to have a very aged style of text, brass lettering, and it's in a very retro vibe suitcase. And when I take it back downstairs, I have no idea if she turns to look or if she waits for me to redon the situation myself. But I'll place the suitcase upon the table. And I'll turn it around slowly so that it says RCA Victor with the folded handle of the suitcase.
She immediately, I imagine you go to put your hands on the locks to open it. She immediately puts her hand, you hear the nails clang on the case. Don't open that, Duke. Where would you have found such an item?
It's a bit retro, wouldn't you think?
I would say it has aged nicely, in fact.
It's almost as if someone decided to clean and polish the leather on the regular.
Imagine. I'll ask you again where you found this
I found this
antique.
in a private lobby. I was directed in the late 80s to a location. Well, 80s? 70s. Time. It's a bizarre thing for us. The 70s. My sire expressed to me that I would need to earn my keep in place, that I had a certain series of skills that were desired amidst the Camarilla. So I was a cleaner, Vera.
Well.
I found this in a room with a body. And this was out of place. In every other room that I had cleaned before this, there was something that had been removed. Blood splatter across the front. And there was always something removed. But something happened differently, didn't it? This is a 1950s RCA Victor Black leather case. It's a 4-speed Victrola phonograph, but you know that.
I do.
This is yours.
It was mine,
Vera.
Duke.
Everyone operates within a realm of reason, and all actions are responses to another action or stimuli. There was a certain amount of artistry in your form, and I know it was your form. Even if the first presentation was immediately perceived as sloppy, but practice makes perfect, or so the adage says. But I witnessed an evolution.
So I've been told.
I witnessed an evolution in your style, and grew to respect that which you defined. You, Vera, were a fledgling, or more apropos, a signet. And I'm guessing by your lack of response that you're unfamiliar with the term. Is that so?
Enlighten me, Duke. I'm currently thoroughly entertained.
A signet is a freshborn swan. I found that most fitting with your choice of music and name, and as easy as it would be for me to call the boogeyman out for what they actually are, it would mean more, coming directly from the source.
Oh, Duke. I'm sorry you were tasked with cleaning up my messes. Do you remember
I'm not.
the... Flattering as that might be. We all do things to get where we are, and I took a certain amount of craft in my work, but that was a different Vera. Do you remember the last dream you had, Duke, before you were embraced? Or even what it was to dream?
The fanatic vision's the best.
I remember my last dream. Still to this day, almost 100 years later. Well, 70 cough years later. On the eve of my siring, I woke in a hot sweat from a dream of a swan on a lake, beautiful and white, pure. I stood on the banks of this pond and watched as the water changed. It shifted from deep, dark, cool blue to black tar. And as the swan began to notice it was caught, stuck, it struggled, flapping its wings, crying into the night. And the more it fought, the more the black tar simply splashed about its body, eventually covering every bit of its white facade. I did not do anything but watch, and as it gasped for its final breath, as it cried into the night, I stood there staring at a petrified black swan, thinking that in its death it was the most beautiful thing that I had ever seen. It still is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. The next night I was sired in an alleyway. When I awoke, I was no longer who I was. But I was Vera. A tainted version of a swan that simply struggled too hard. I don't know if that answers your questions, Duke. And I appreciate you returning my property. Who knows? Maybe one day it'll get use again.
You still haven't answered my question, Vera.
I'm sorry, I was lost in thought. What was that, Duke?
What was it that they called you?
They called me the Black Swan, Duke. A scourge.
It's a beautiful moniker.
Some would say it is a tainted version of something that is pure.
When she says Scourge, you're welcome to make me an intelligence politics roll. Looking for 3.
2.
Yep, this is not a position within the Camarilla that's very publicly known or even acknowledged often. So when she says I was a Scourge, you might just think she was just being using an adjective to describe her actions or something. But yeah, you wouldn't recognize that in an actual position.
Well, Duke, I feel that I am exposed in some way.
I followed you for a long time, Vera. I was tasked with the ideal that I was the best cleaner available to the force, if I could say, and it was my job to continually clean up after you, so I watched your work evolve. It was messy at first. Very, very messy. I watched as the eyes of some of these individuals, they were perforated down to the corneal tract. The eyes burst. I saw the cuts across their body. And first it was only 60 to 70, enough to bring a man to death, but not enough to suffice for your desires. And when I found the phonograph and I peered over, and this is when I'll open up the actual suitcase. The Swan Lake Waltz by Tchaikovsky. It made sense. You made them suffer through your dance. But you didn't allow them to watch. You spoke of poetry earlier. And you wanted to move them, but you refused to let them see. It's an interesting choice, but it's one I can respect. And at this point, I needed to know the artist so that I could respect the artwork further. And surely you have questions. You've always wondered how I came to be just here.
I thought it was because you did good business, Duke.
I do good business. I keep all of my secrets and I honor what I speak of.
You do. I just was not expecting such an outing. You've spent 30 years stalking my work. Well, you must be very disappointed to know that I've turned into a businesswoman, Duke.
Not at all. There is a visage that we use to hide. I've used it for a long time. It's helped in many ways. There's this uneasy candor with Duke when he says that. You notice he sort of like rubs onto his fingers. I never stalked Vera. I appreciated your work from afar, and I needed to see whom you were, so I did side jobs, the side hustle, as I expressed earlier, before I finally uncovered whom you were. But once I knew, I could watch from afar. And eventually, I caught wind of you needing an accountant. Just so happens that's what my sire ushered my training in. Politics and accounting. I offered my services.
Duke, I could have picked any accountant. But you know why I chose you.
I don't, Vera. Enlighten me.
Well, for a man who has pieced together the mystery of how I killed Thin Bloods over the years, you really are dense.
I don't know if I'm dense as much as I am willfully oblivious.
Well, Duke, I knew exactly who you were the moment I laid eyes on you at that Elysium where they introduced you. Your face was undeniable. I may not be hip to the culture or whatever they say, but I am not completely out of the loop of news. You had your own art form, one that you put great craft into, is my understanding.
There was a certain necessity in what I had to do, and it was overtaking, Vera. I could feel it consuming my insides. It was a fantastic passion.
I'm glad to know that something can make you passionate, Duke. But it seems that we both have had to do what's necessary to get to here. Do me a favor, Duke.
I would appreciate it, Vera.
Yes?
I'm assuming that we're going down the same route of not revealing our pasts to the rest of our coterie.
Max knows of my past. Involved more than once in helping me acquire what I needed, or a little extra gruff if I needed it, but I fear that Sean may never recover. If he knows that at least 2 of us are mass murderers. I almost laughed. Vera actually laughs at that. I think she laughs when she says it out loud.
And Duke, as she explains, like, no, Max has been there for you a few times. Now that you think about it, you meticulously remember a few cases where there are aspects of it that seemed a little too violent or a little bit too out of place. It's like, oh, Vera definitely had some help. And now that she mentions Max, like, oh, that would make sense, actually. There's a few more puzzle pieces click into Duke's mind.
Well, if he can't seem to recover from your reveal, I do not believe that he would revel in the reveal of the co-ed killer as a friend.
I'm sure he would not. And since the Black Swan is, how you say, doubly tarnished, I don't foresee anyone speaking of her either, and I'd like to keep it that way, yes?
I understand.
Well, since we're keeping all this under wraps, may I have this back?
Please, I presented it to you as a gift. I meant to give it much sooner, but no time seemed appropriate.
30 years, Duke. I kind of look at her, cut eyes, like, come on.
You've had your hands full, Vera. Let's not ignore that.
It's true, I know. We've all
Plus, you avoided my room. And that would make a different person very sad, but I've come to understand, as they often do not speak to me, but occasionally they let leak some information.
Well, I'll say this. They didn't like me then, and they sure don't like me now.
It's jealousy, Vera. They were jealous.
Oh, I know what it is. But not that I'm a superstitious woman, but the last thing I need are 5 ballerinas haunting me.
Well, they only remain because you do too.
Yes, I know, Duke. Another bane to my existence in the second life. Well, I was about to say, yeah, I close the case up and kind of take it and stand, and I say, as great as our bonding time has been, we do have some more business to attend to. Larson, I feel that we need to maybe come clean with him. He's hiding something, and I think if we make a bargain to put what we know on the table, he may do the same.
I'm willing to listen.
Maybe you're right, I'm losing my edge, Duke, but I want to give him a chance.
I suppose it's just about finding yourself again. Once you get that far, it shouldn't be a problem. Vera, you're more than capable. That's why I've stuck around.
I hope you've stuck around. For a little bit more than that, Duke, but
it's
your
definitely Maxwell's quips.
Encouragement.
He's hysterical.
That's one of the reasons I keep him around. He's also a friend. Just as you and... No, not Sean. Just you and Max are. Sean may get there. He has put a spark in my heart for his little frail frame. I think he would make a good businessman, Duke. He's clever and coy.
He's green.
Well, we all start somewhere, right? He's just a little white swan, Duke.
A signet.
Some may call it atoning for sins or whatever those are, but I have to at least try on one of them to do better than simply taking their eyes and slicing their throats, right?
I'm curious, something that was never answered for me. What did you do with the eyes?
I can't tell you all my secrets, Duke.
I suppose you'll kiss and tell another time, then.
As you go to walk out of the room, I go, wait. Do you really want to know?
If it's your secret.
I made them eat them.
You'll probably have seen Duke smile for the first time in probably a decade. That's disturbing, Vera.
You knew what you were getting into before you walked through my door. You told me that. Team meeting, 1 hour. We need to discuss this Larson issue.
And as the conversation separates, we have a wonderful example of the frustrations of a Toreador and a Ventrue bantering back and forth. One enjoys flowery language and dancing around the subject, while the other cuts directly through, frustrating the Toreador. But there is still that kindred friendship between them. The clans aren't all that different when it comes to the need for control and flourish. And then we'll fade to black, as the rising club music overwhelms our ears, and we return next week.
Do Vera a little favor, would you? Break out that Masquerade Breach in your pocket and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at PodByNight or Stitch of Fate. Make sure to leave us a little 5-star rating and review, would you? And if you don't, well, I guess I'll just have to send Max after you. A very special thank you to Kimberly and Sean Casey for sponsoring this little podcast. Stitch of Fate wouldn't be possible without your incredible kindness and support. You sure know how to rouse our blood.